With Beyond Light's release on the horizon, a lot of people in the community are doing everything they can to get ready for this DLC expansion. One thing in particular that people are looking out for is the idea of sunsetting. What this basically means is that a lot of weapons that are currently in the Destiny 2 sandbox are going to be receiving a power cap of 1060, meaning that they cannot be infused past that level, basically meaning that they're not going to be all that viable in much of the content coming in Beyond Light's release. With that being said, today's video we're going to be looking at a slew of weapons that are not going to be affected by sunsetting and will be very useful from now going on into next year. This is going to be sort of like a top 10 list, but with every single weapon that we look at, I'm also going to provide alternatives for you just in case you may not be able to get your hands on that specific weapon. So in reality, we're looking at around 29 to 30 weapons in today's video. That being said, a lot of effort went into this video, so let's take a look at our sponsor, which is you. So please leave a like on the video. I would greatly appreciate it. A lot of work went into this, so thank you. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the top 10 weapons that you need to be farming and looking out for Beyond Light's release. Starting off with the snipers category. We have the Supremacy, Long Shadow, Eye of Soul, and the Ikelos Sniper Rifle. The Long Shadow, of course, is highlighted in gold because this is the weapon you'll want to keep your eyes out for. This weapon can roll with triple tap and rapid hit, and it is a fantastic boss damaging weapon. It's basically a world drop, so you can get this weapon from anywhere. You can get it from Raoul's engrams, from the Cryptarch. You can get it from Umbral engrams that you don't focus. You can get it from turning in tokens to the Vanguard and Crucible. It pretty much comes from everywhere, so there's not really a specific way to farm it outside of just buying engrams, turning in tokens, and pretty much getting lucky. I also have the Supremacy here, as it's yet again another kinetic sniper rifle, and this weapon is actually semi-farmable through the Last Wish chest. If you guys haven't seen my video on how to get these chests every single week solo, make sure to check the link in the description, but this weapon right here is a viable option for those of you guys that are looking for non-sunsetting sniper rifles and you want a specific area that you can get them from. Just go to the Last Wish, farm up 6 chests every single week, and you're good to go. We also have the Eye of Soul, and this is the last of the kinetic snipers, which is basically a PvP monster, but also is very useful in PvE, as you can actually get Vorpal on this sniper rifle, allowing you to deal pretty hefty damage to powerful enemies. For me personally, I use this weapon as a PvP weapon with Snapshot and Opening Shot. It's a fantastic Crucible weapon overall, so if you're looking for some high-end PvP weapons, this is one to keep your eyes out for. And lastly, we have the Ikelos Sniper Rifle, which is the only energy sniper rifle being mentioned, and this can roll with high impact reserves and 4th time the charm, making it a very good boss damaging weapon, especially if you have your kinetic slot already taken up. Now moving on from this, we have the hand cannons, the Nation of Beasts, the Ancient Gospel, and the Dire Promise. Now the Dire Promise, just like the Long Shadow, is a world drop, so you can get it from tokens, Cryptarch engrams, and just drops on the ground. You're gonna have to be lucky to get this, but this weapon is kind of like a jack of all trades. It's fantastic in PvP, and you can also find quite a bit of use out of it in PvE. It is of course not getting sunset. Now we have the Nation of Beasts and Ancient Gospel. The Ancient Gospel coming from the Garden of Salvation raid, again being pretty good in PvP and PvE, but you have my personal favorite, which is the Nation of Beasts, which is an arc hand cannon, and you can get this with Rampage and Outlaw, like the gameplay you're seeing in the background, as well as the curated roll with Dragonfly on it. But this is one of my favorite hand cannons in the entire game. It is an absolute beast, and you can get this, of course, just like the Supremacy. You can just farm out Last Wish chest. Now, moving on from here, we have the automatic solar weapons. We have the Summoner and the Death Adder. If you play Trials of Osiris, even if you don't play Trials of Osiris, you might want to dip your toe in it, because the Summoner with an Overflow Rampage build is an absolute insane PvE monster, having around 80 to 90 rounds in the magazine with Overflow, and then of course having Rampage dealing tons of damage. The reload is already really good, the range is already really good, there's barely any kick. The Summoner is an absolute monster of a solar automatic weapon, but you also have the Death Adder, which you can get from the Prophecy dungeon, and getting this thing with Feeding Frenzy and Dragonfly can be a pretty nasty roll overall, and this weapon has pretty good base stats as well. It's just a pretty good balanced SMG overall. I really like it, and I'm currently trying to farm out a good PvE roll for this weapon. Now, moving on from this, we have the automatic arc weapons. Now, the Ikelos SMG and the 7th Seraph SMG are your automatic arc weapons, and I just gotta say, The Ikelos SMG it knows no boundaries. This thing is an absolute monster with threat detector and demolitionist. It is a PvE beast, and you can farm this thing easily from the Umbral Engrams. It is just an absolute force to be reckoned with, and I don't think any weapon even comes close to really touching how great this SMG is. We also have the 7th Seraph SMG, which I do recommend that you do pick up because it can come with a roll of 4th Time the Charm as well as Feeding Frenzy. If you want a weapon that is pretty much never going to run out of bullets and you can just keep shooting, and then when you do have to reload, you're going to be able to reload super fast because of Feeding Frenzy, then you might want to get your hands on this weapon. It also has a pretty nice scope on it, which I personally like, and you can also get it from the Umbral Engrams. I actually really like this SMG, but the Ikelos SMG is of course objectively better. Now moving on from this, we have the automatic void weapons with the Reckless Oracle and the Gnawing Hunger. Now, for anyone that watches my Twitch streams, you know that I am a simp for the Reckless Oracle. This weapon right here comes from Garden of Salvation, and my role is a swashbuckler outlaw, and it's a pretty big monster when it comes to just wrecking enemies out in the PvE landscape. However, I have to give the edge to the Gnawing Hunger. You can get this weapon not only easier from the Umbral Engrams and Reckoning Tier 3, but it's an absolute meta beast for both PvP and PvE. It's not even close. Like, it's just really good for both modes. It's absolutely insane with how good it is at both modes. So just definitely pick up a Gnawing Hunger if you don't already have one. Zen Moment, multi-kill clip, just go crazy with it. Just go absolutely insane. The thing pumps out bullets like crazy and pumps out death like crazy. Moving on from that, we have a pretty diverse list of shotguns right here, with the first in, last out leading the pack, as well as the Ikelos shotgun, Astral Horizon, and 7th Seraph. Now, the first in, last out, get this bad boy with Outlaw or auto loading and Vorpal, and you are looking at yourself a really nasty headshot machine on high health targets in PvE. It's a slug shotgun. You can get it from the Umbral Engrams, farm it out, get it, use it, you won't regret it. Moving on from that, we have the Ikelos shotgun. You can get this from the Prophecy Dungeon. If you get a roll something along the lines of Lead from Gold and Trench Barrel, you are looking at something kind of nasty. Trench Barrel gives you an immediate buff upon a melee, meaning that you melee a high health target and just unload shotgun shells into them. The Ikelos shotgun has some really good rate of fire, so definitely put that to use. The Astral Horizon and the 7th Seraph, of course you're looking at a Trials and an Umbral Engram weapon. Both of these weapons are pretty decent for PvE, but you probably want to use them for PvP. So something like Quick Draw and Slide Shot, something like that, you'll be doing pretty well for these weapons. And I personally do have an Astral, and I really like it for PvP. Now, moving on from this, we have the grenade launchers. We have Martyr's Retribution and Truth Teller. Now, Martyr's Retribution is a special case because the only reason I'm not prioritizing it is because it is getting sunset a lot earlier than the Truth Teller. All the other weapons on this list are getting sunset around season 15, and Martyr's is getting sunset around 13 to 14. But Martyr's Retribution is fantastic. It's basically a fire grenade shooting grenade launcher. It's really fun, really good. And then Truth Teller, of course, is definitely no mountaintop replacement, but it's a very nasty weapon if you have something like Spike Nades, Feeding Frenzy, and multi-kill clip. Just make sure that you get a direct hit on your target, and you're looking at quite a bit of damage with this weapon. You can also get Blinding Nades, which is going to blind any enemies around you, and that can be useful for some pretty hard content in the game to ensure that you don't get absolutely murked by a lot of the enemies that you're facing. Now, moving on from this, we have the Pulse Rifles, the Sacred Providence, the Cold Denial, and Chattering Bone. Now, Cold Denial, it's great. PvP amazingness. Just get the Cold Denial, Feeding Frenzy, Swashbuckler, something like that. Make sure you get Feeding Frenzy because the reload is kind of slow, but this thing destroys. You're not seeing PvP gameplay right now because I suck at PvP, at least with Cold Denial, but take my word for it, get this weapon at least with Feeding Frenzy, take it into PvP, and you'll be two-bursting people like it's nothing. You can get this bad boy from the Umbral Engrams, just make sure that you level up your Season Pass first. And of course, we have the Chattering Bone, which is from Last Wish, which again can be farmed from the chest. You can get this weapon from the chest, and Sacred Providence is from the Garden of Salvation raid. Now, I personally prefer Chattering Bone. Get this bad boy with Outlaw Rampage, you're looking at a good time. Now, moving on from this, we have quite a big list of bows. We got the Whispering Slab, Accrued Redemption, Tyranny of Heaven, and the Arsenic Bite 4B. Now, we have two kinetics here, Accrued and Whispering. Whispering is going to lead the pack here because it is the easiest to get. You can get this bad boy from the Umbral Engrams, and pretty much with any of these weapons, just go for Archer's Tempo and Swashbuckler, Accrued Redemption, Garden of Salvation, Tyranny of Heaven, Last Wish, and Arsenic Bite, I believe is a world drop. It's an arc bow, while Tyranny is solar, so if you're looking for some diversity, you can get it from that. Now, of course, as a surprise to absolutely no one, we have the Falling Guillotine. I mean, I'm sure you guys are waiting on it. It's literally taken the game by storm. By far, one of the best weapons to ever exist in Destiny. It's basically the Dark Drinker from Destiny 1, but on steroids while also snorting crack. It's a really good sword, man. Get your hands on it. It's from the Umbral Engrams. And lastly, we have a little bit of honorable mentions in the form of the Lonesome and the Breachlight. And the reason they're honorable mentions is because I don't like sidearms, I don't really use them, but I figured I'd mention it for you guys. The Lonesome can be gotten from the Umbrals as well as Breachlight, and the Breachlight is going to be getting sunset around the time that Martyr's Retribution is, but it's a 2-burst monster. I really like it. Lonesome, pretty good for PvP and PvE. I personally have a PvE role with Outlaw and Swashbuckler, but if you're using the Breachlight, get something like Demo and Rampage or something like Outlaw Multi-Kill Clip. And yeah, Breachlight is just, it's a machine, man. It's just an absolute machine. But guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I try to make it as quick and as clean as possible without having this video drag on too long. But yeah, those are pretty much all the weapons that you should be looking out for in Beyond Light. Pretty much 30 of them. So just in case you can't get the #1 recommendation that I personally give, you have plenty of other options as well. But guys, like I said, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched all the way up into this point, I'm just letting you know, man, you have a big penis. And if you're a female, you have a big penis. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did like it, dislike it if you did not. Thank you guys again so much. This video took so much time, and I'll see you guys next time.